Hey, howdy. My name's Henry Chang, and welcome to the inaugural episode of What the Heck Do I Do With My Time? And in this episode, I will be going over my daily work stream of publishing content to a collaborative workspace, or at least a progress report and a brief instructional on how I am sharing and plan on further developing my a knowledge management program, or second brain, that I wish to work with a number of different friends and colleagues and future collaborators on. So what we see here is I'm looking at Obsidian, which is a markdown editor, markdown being a very common web text formatting language. And Obsidian, those of you who have been in the productivity space may have heard of it already. It's very similar to apps like Notion or other sorts of mumbo jumbo pieces of software attempting to squeeze a little bit more productivity out of us at work. But here I am using it at home. And I think that people could get a lot out of using it in their daily routines as well. So what I'll be going through is, one, what is Obsidian? How do I publish it? And what are some of the issues and next steps? So without further ado, let's dive in. As you can see on the very left-hand side, I have a more traditional file folder structure. Under each one of these is a number of different individual notes, an example of which you see right here in the middle pane. It has today's date because it is part of a daily's notes. It has several things that seem like both headings and hyperlinks, so you can actually collapse and expand them. And over here on the right, you'll see a bit of a relational graph view of the various files and notes that link to today. Very small, very simple. If I were to go into one of these notes, you can see I have a couple tags, a brief note on what this idea or concept is, and a few other, and on this one I haven't yet completely formatted it because I still have some things to look into, so I left it as a normal header that I'll revisit at a later time. Now, this is just a small X script of the overall vault. If I'm going to show you real quick a little eye chart. Please don't feel obligated to actually be impressed or least of all understand it. I have yet to actually find out a good use for it, but I understand that there are some potentials. Here's the graph view that encapsulates all of the notes currently in the vault. You'll see they expand based on the number of connections that are made between them. The green bubbles are actually tags that I have elected to display here. And you'll see out in the fringes there's some orphaned ideas that have yet to be integrated into the overall knowledge management tree, as it were. And it's a bit of a mess. Lots of questions, lots of to-dos. I have been compiling things, figuring out how my brain works by putting things into notes, and playing around with formatting since late last year. And this is what I have to show for it. And actually, there's another vault, but we won't get into that. For now, let's go back to our daily note. So, and this would be my normal routine. Whenever I have a daily note, I open it up. Currently, I don't have it templated or anything. I've made some notes already today. And I know that I have talked about the subject of explaining Obsidian and the GitHub sharing publishing process before. So I will pull up that note. Let's see, explaining the workflow for Obsidian. Perfect, and it's right there. And I'll just make a note that I continued with recording just to remind myself what I was doing with this note on this day. Now, I could either expand into it, or if I just wanted to quickly view or see at a glance what is in this content, I can actually just quickly format like this. And now I can actually display whatever note is called in here. Those of you sad individuals who have had to learn things like LaTeX might find this intriguing. So inside this note that is written in Markdown and stored locally in plain text. So if I were to move to a different platform, I could, these files belong to me and I can use them as I choose. There are tags, there's a couple steps, there's a little table I put in here, and a little photo screenshot of the settings. So I have shown you basically the Obsidian capabilities, the basic concept of it. Kind of walked you briefly through my daily process, well, I suppose me, myself, and I. And now I'm going to show you real quick how I publish to GitHub. Now, one of the other great things about Obsidian, besides being Markdown, local first, while it does have sync capabilities, is the community that's around it. It's a really phenomenal community, coding in JavaScript, Python, and a number of other languages to help make tools for the community and make our lives collectively more about Obsidian. Is specifically this GitHub Publisher community app. Now, to install apps, very simple. In community plugins, there's a bunch of core plugins, of which Daily Notes is one of them. But in community plugins, I'll actually browse. I'll type in publish, GitHub Publish. I will install it, and then make sure to hit enable. Now it says disabled, which gives us the ability to go to the options. Now, if I were to come back, you can see under community plugins, there's a list of installed plugins where I can update or toggle them or change settings. Or I can come down here, GitHub Publisher, go to config. I've already put in the GitHub username, the repo name in GitHub, and generated the GitHub token needed to link in. I've made a couple other to be able to push and pull from the repo. I've done a couple other settings of note. I've changed the file tree and repository to mirror my Obsidian file path. And on the plugin setting, I have made it to share all files except for files whose name begins with draft and are in the Daily Notes folder. So let's go ahead and try making a change. So since this note here is in Daily Notes, there won't be any update if I were to share. So I will come over here and do a quick little additional note. You'll see there's the check mark over here for some of the other issues and functions that I noticed. I'll make a quick to-do to, let's see, share. I'll make a quick to-do about nothing. Separate the repo from the original test. Great. Now, it should actually save automatically. I'm going to hit Control P to bring up the command prompt. Publish, refresh, published, and upload new notes. It's going to scan the repository. I would normally just upload a single-ish note that I had been working on, but I'll do the full scan just in case there's some other changes. We'll wait a minute. All right, I have successfully uploaded 6 notes. So that means when I go into GitHub, I'll refresh it real quick. Yep, I should see that there are additional commits. And of course there are a handful of issues that I'm still working on individually, but you can see if I click into here, since it's in plain text, all the information carries over pretty well. Of note is the attachment image of the screenshot doesn't necessarily display here. That's something to actually keep track of. So I will make another one on to do, and this specifically GitHub, how to display images in GitHub via attachments. All right, so that is the total work stream. I've already had other people successfully publish from their vault with their own personal GitHub tokens. Now all that's left is to actually be able to, pull information into other people's Obsidian vaults and just do basic management maintenance of any general repository of knowledge, the pushes and the pulls. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what we come up with, and I'm doubly excited about what people might think when they're looking through this stuff and see what kind of other ideas or interests that may come up from it. But that is for a later date. For now, this has been Henry Chang. I wish you a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you on the flip side.